Oh, thank you so much, Pam. I'm just, yeah, I really, really appreciate that. And it's so nice to see you and everyone here. What a privilege to be here. Hey, everyone, I'm an alcoholic. My name's Ed, and I hail from London, Ontario, Canada. And date of my last drink, thankfully, July 30th, 1988. And for that blessing, I owe AA and my loving God my life, and I get to pay it forward every day of my life. And I'm so glad for that. I'm so glad for this way of life, for this design of living. Um, yeah, my home group, Design for Living, which is on Zoom, 100% on Zoom, where we meet twice a day, every single day, holidays, leap years, you name it. We've been doing this since March 15th, 2020, and it's AA literature focused and singleness of purpose focused. I'm sounding like an advertisement here, aren't I? And I love the group. I love the members. I love what we do. I love the format. And I love the format of this group. I mean, you can just tell off the get-go that it's steps. It's about how can we be more useful and live in more harmony and to good effect, not just not drinking, but to live well. And it's a real privilege and honor to be here. I've loved the speakers, all the speakers that I've heard here, and grateful to know so many people here. So uh, yeah, so that's the intro stuff, and I want to thank the team that's put this together and works behind the scenes. It's like a duck that's paddling crazily below the surface to keep the room welcoming and safe. This thing doesn't just happen. So Ali and Calvin and John and Nash and Alice and Teresa, all of you and many others, I'm sure. Um, yeah, and there's bound to be someone here who's new to our fellowship or coming back to this way of life, and I want to welcome you. I just want to say, as was mentioned in the beginning, welcome home. Home is where you're understood, so welcome home. Yeah, we get each other here. We finish each other's sentences, and we tend to feel a lot the same, and we tend to do a lot of the same stuff and think a lot of the same stuff. And we have a common problem here, but we have the common solution, and we get to love and serve each other. What a deal! So yeah, I'm tasked with step 11, and particularly we ask, just briefly, I knew I was in trouble well before my first drink. My first drink was age 15. I drank for about 10 years, and I was a daily drunk. I was oblivion every single night, and came to every morning for pretty well every day for 10 years. But I was in trouble well before that. For years before that, I felt this hole in my soul and deep down inside, and I was in a lot of, I was angry, I was afraid, I was lost, I was insecure, all that stuff. And when I found alcohol, when I discovered alcohol, you better believe it, I two-fisted it, and I drank as much as I could, as quickly as I could, as often as I could. So step 11, one of my two favorite steps. I mean, I love them all, but 3 and 11, boy, that's the good stuff. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact. So, sought how did I seek? Through prayer and meditation, not or, but and to improve. Well, if I'm going to improve it, I need to establish it first, right? And steps 1 to 10 establish that conscious contact, that conscious relation, as he talks about a little later. And God as we understood him. Thank God for that phrase in italics. And praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And pretty clear, And with that step 11, I'm acknowledging that I need more and accurate knowledge and power to live, not just to live, but to live sober and live well, live with usefulness, live to good effect and in harmony, and with myself, with my Creator, and with my fellow travelers, with all of you, with my brothers and sisters. Not in discord, not in conflict or disunity or disharmony, division. So so we ask, I mean, there's a couple, it's we ask or we pray, it's the same thing, right? And it's not, we don't tell, we don't give instructions, or I'm not giving directions or advice. I'm asking because I don't know. Now, that was the hardest thing for me to say for the longest time. During my drinking years, before my drinking years, during my drinking years, and well into recovery, I remember I was at work one time. Well, I mean, a good 6 or 7 years in, maybe a little less, but I remember someone asked me something at work and I said, I don't know. And she looked like I hit her over the head with a frying pan. She said, Ed, I've never heard you say that before. And, I'd make stuff up because I didn't want people to think that I didn't have the answer, right? I didn't want to be seen as incompetent or God, that I can't know something. It's so nice to just admit, hey, I don't know, but let me know, please, so we can both know and be open to that. So it took me a bit of time to get there. But yeah, so I asked because I don't have the knowledge, the power, I don't have the wisdom or the love or the self-love or the vision. And I heard this was early on in recovery. What was it? I think it was Father John Doe. Yeah, it was Father John Doe. Yeah, he says, without God, I can't. Without me, he won't. That's the relationship. That's the partnership. I'm the junior partner. He's a father. I'm one of the children. You're my brothers and sisters. We're family. So, and without him, I'm lost. I've got this hole in my soul. This hole in my soul is God's shaped and God sized, and it can only be filled by one thing. And I've tried to fill it with all sorts of things, primarily alcohol, but other substances and other behaviors and what have you. But it's God shaped and God sized. There's only one thing going in there that's going to work. Everything else will be wanting. And it's like I was trying to make orange juice out of apples, and it's these apples are the wrong type of apples, or it's these people I'm juicing the apples with. I got to use oranges for orange juice. I got the right stuff, and I didn't know that. I never knew that till I came to you, and I was shown that by the people in AA, and I'm just so grateful. I had no idea how to live drunk or sober when I came to you. So yeah, when I'm thinking when I'm thinking of all this stuff too, the saying that how to make God laugh, tell him your plans, and yeah. So who is we when I say we ask, and to put it in context, the we it's the writers of the book, right? And Bill's the primary writer. He says, the first 100. Well, Bill liked to exaggerate a little bit. I know we don't do that around here, but Bill liked to exaggerate, and it was probably about the first 80 or so. But that's who the we was. That's the context. But it applies to me. It applies to us as well. We ask. Now, if I want what they have, then I do what they do. It's if I don't do what they do, I'm going to get something different. Now, maybe it's going to be something better. I don't know, but I don't want to take that chance. I tried so many different things before AA. Any self-help book junkies here? Like any happiness junkies here? Yeah, probably not. But that was me before I came to you. I was always searching for happiness, and I came here, and you showed me it's not about happiness. It's about usefulness. And I seek usefulness, and then happiness just lands on me, and then I can have it all. What a deal. So yeah, that's who the we is. So Bill's experience on this step, obviously it's a big book, bottom of 85 to the bottom of 88, the rest of that chapter, and then of all of step 11 in the 12 and 12. Now, this is, we hear sometimes around our fellowship that the big book is the better book. And, I don't see it that way. I see they're both great books, big book and 12, but each book just has a different purpose. They complement each other. They're both written by the same guy primarily, right? Just, Bill's sober a fair bit longer when he writes the second one. But Bill makes clear what the purpose of the books are in the forward. So, let's go to the words of Bill. And he says in the forward, so it's right near the end of the forward to 12 and 12, he says, in this book, or in the book Alcoholics Anonymous, I should say, the application of these steps to the Alcoholic's Dilemma was made clear. So application, right? Now, this present volume, the 12 and 12, proposes to broaden and deepen the understanding of the 12 steps as first written in the earlier work. So how do I do the steps? Big book. If I want to understand them a little bit deeper and broaden my understanding, 12 and 12. So I'd best be looking at both books. But when I do my steps and when I sponsor, big book, and I, right down to step 6 and 7, I find everything that is needed is in those two paragraphs, on page 76, everything's there. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with 6 and 7 and 12 or drop the rock or what have you. but everything I need to do is right there. It really is that simple. I mean, I spent a couple of years trying to, I just got a brain aneurysm trying to analyze those two steps one time. Yeah, so what are the questions? I mean, what are the questions that he's asking in that step in Big Book? So we retire at night, all the questions, uh, there's a whole bunch of them. Let me just go over to that page here. The bunch of questions that he's asking himself, and I need to ask myself, and I'm asking God in some way too, right? Where, was I resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Yes or no? Do I owe an apology? And have I kept something to myself which should be discussed with another person at once? Was I kind and loving toward all? Well, there's a toughie. That one, yeah, that one's been a tough one for me. I'm kind and loving to the people that are kind and loving to me, and I'm civil to some others. It's getting better. It's a lot better, What could I have done? Could I have done better? Was I thinking to myself most of the time, or was I thinking what I could do for others, of what I could pack into the stream of life? And that bit, it's funny what we hear at meetings, right? We hear the neatest stuff at meetings. And one thing I heard just a few months ago, never heard it before. Like I got sober in July of '88, and in all these years, like we keep hearing new stuff, because especially since we're global now, right, with Zoom. What was it? Be a giver, save your liver. Be a taker, meet your maker. And I was just like, yeah, St. Francis, right? St. Francis. So, after making my review, I ask God's forgiveness. So God, would you please forgive me for where I've come short? And God, what can I do? What corrective measures do I need to take? Yeah, and I just let that gel, And then when I wake up, God, will you please direct my thinking, if you will? And I especially ask that you divorce from my thinking. Let's get a divorce here again from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. So, and and thinking about my day, indecision. Yeah, you better believe it. There's a lot of times I've got indecision going on, and I'm not able to determine which course to take. So what do I do then? God, will you please give me inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision? If it be your will. Like all this stuff, as it says in 12 and 12, if it be thy will, And when I pray for others, I don't say, God grant so-and-so happiness, or God grant so-and-so good health, or a cure for cancer. I don't know what's best for anyone. I've proven that. I just say, God, please grant so-and-so knowledge of your will for them and the power to carry that out. Whatever that is, it's going to be good. I like at the end of 12 and 12, it says it's been the misuse of willpower. That's been the problem, trying to bombard my problems with it, instead of just bringing it into accordance with God's will. And the more I try to live on that will, like there's a definite feeling going on inside of me, and that's where the meditation comes in, getting really, really quiet and still and silent. There's just a feeling inside of me where I'm, if I'm feeling driven or off, it's my will. If it feels like it's just flowing, that this feels right, there's just a definite feeling to it. And if there isn't a definite feeling, I just wait. I don't, not looking for perfection here, just looking for any kind of progress whatsoever. So, yeah, and later on it says conclude the period of meditation with a prayer. So we ask again that I be shown all through the day what my next step is to be. So that's knowledge of his will for me, right? And that I be given whatever I need to take care of such problems, the power to carry that out. He's just repeating the same thing in different words like he does all the time. And then I ask especially for freedom from self-will. Just God, take that, grant me freedom from that. I just love how, all I knew before AA was relief, the occasional bit of relief. I never knew freedom. And, I've been given a glimpse of freedom here and there in sobriety, and it's priceless, right? It costs a lot, but it's priceless. Yeah. So, and then I can ask for myself, uh, only if others will be helped. God's not interested in helping just one person. He's interested, I would think, in helping the maximum number of people. And it's like I see it like God's doing bank shots on the pool table. He's seeing stuff that none of us can see. Like I live near Toronto, Canada, and there's a CN Tower there. And here I was trying to make decisions about my life and other people's lives at the base of the CN Tower. Now I can't see anything down there. God's up there at the top of the tower, seeing all the moving parts, and can see, it's like great chess players, right? They can see 10 moves ahead. It's God just doing bank shots. It's kind of like the story of there's these three guys playing golf. There's Moses and there's Jesus and this really, really old man. And Moses gets up there and he takes a swing at the ball and goes towards the water and the water hazard. And Moses goes like this, right? And poof, and the ball goes right through the water hazard, right up to the green, really close. Jesus gets up there and takes a shot. Wouldn't you know it, it goes right towards that same water hazard. And Jesus goes like this, and the ball walks across the water and gets in even closer to the hole. Now the old man can hardly even move. He gets up there and he takes a little shot, and it goes up about 10 feet from where he takes a shot into a tree. Well, the squirrel grabs the ball in its mouth. The hawk grabs the squirrel in its mouth, and they flies across the course. A bolt of lightning hits the hawk. The hawk drops the squirrel. The squirrel drops the ball right in the hole. And Jesus turns to the old man and says, "Nice shot, Dad." So, yeah, God can do stuff and see stuff that none of us can see, So if circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. So, if we're in a relationship, I've been fortunate in a couple of relationships to meditate. There's a zone. We know the zone. I mean, for me, I get it in three places when I'm in that zone, and it's in the middle of a symphony orchestra. I used to play classical music, and I just loved it. Being right in the middle of that, that everyone the same goal. And it's just so spiritual. It's incredible. And then being in a forest, and then the third one is meditating, whether it be alone or with a big group or with one other. There's just something that's activated inside of me, in my heart, in my mind, in my soul, that's just absolutely indescribably wonderful, So as I go through the day, I pause when, not if, but when agitated. Like I can count on it, it's going to happen. I'm going to get agitated or doubtful, many times. And I ask again, I don't tell, I ask for the right thought or action. God, would you please grant me the right thought or action here? And I'm not demanding anything, and humbly saying to myself many times each day, thy will be done, not mine. Thy will be done, whatever it is. Whatever you want done, I'm the clay, you're the potter. Signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Whatever you're going to do is just right. There's no way you're going to make a worse mess of it than I did. So, and the three types of prayer, there's the God help me, please help me with this, and then God grant me or God give me, and sometimes it's grant me this possession. That's what it used to be, or grant me this money or this job, and then eventually, God grant me some selflessness, please, would you, if it be your will. But my favorite kind of prayer is, God use me, make me your instrument, make me your channel, make me your vessel through which thy will passes. And I'm not just trying to let God in. I'm trying to let him out. He's deep down within me, deep down within all of us, right? He's right in there. He's right out there. He's everywhere. And he's a flow of infinite love and infinite power. And it's up to me to get rid of the blocks, and whatever I can't do, I ask God to do. And whatever I can do, I need to do, and then everything that flow touches, that flow of infinite love and infinite power, everything that it touches feels good, real good, and of course it's going to feel good. Infinite power, tenderness, gentleness, compassion, truth, light, and just keep on getting rid of those blocks, through continuous inventory and continuous fair self-examination and direct amends, Yeah, so my prayers, it's just, be specific. I try to be specific, and always with, if it be thy will. And then another thing is my prayers that align with my purpose. I talked about seeking usefulness before. I had a sponsor. I've been blessed with incredible sponsorship, and this one sponsor I had for about 13 years, he gave me a mantra immediately when I met him, and he said, "Your mantra is how may I be most helpful right here and right now," and he lives it. And when I have that in the front of my head, maximum usefulness as best I can, not perfection, and I'm looking to be helpful and useful, not just alcoholics, but anyone with skin, anyone breathing. Just to get out of my favorite subject, to get out of me, to get out of that the trivial plans and designs, right? And is my prayer life lined up with that, to be of maximum service, to fit myself, to be of maximum service to God and His kids, my brothers and sisters? And does it align with my function, which is to grow in understanding and effectiveness? So yeah, and throughout the book, I mean, I'm gonna land the plane here. I think probably as good a spot as any. We ask. I mean, ask it's a verb, right? We pray. It's a verb, and I find I used to use the book as something to read and then to study and then to try to apply. More and more, I see it as like it's a book of directions, and and Bill says, no one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles, these steps. So I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for any kind of progress whatsoever. And if there's a verb in there, am I doing that verb? And if not, why not? Is it because I cannot or because I will not? And not to be too hard on myself, just to say, okay, well, there's where some progress can be made, and to do the verb. And it's an endless, spiritual growth is just endless, right? And but what a neat trip it is. Yeah. I think that's probably as good a spot as any. I'm more looking forward to the discussion. I want to hear what other people have to say about this step, and what a great way of life that we get to live with each other. And Ali, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve, and I wish everyone a happy and useful 24 hours. Thanks so much for the honor.
Hey, Jade, welcome. Come on in.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. And thank you, Ed, for your beautiful share. I'm a guest at this meeting, so it's grateful to be here. My question is, before you joined AA, did you have any belief in a higher power or God, or can you share about how that was, if you fought it, or if you, that's it.
Oh, thanks, Jade. Yeah, thanks for the question. I had belief, but I did nothing with it, is the truth. I went to church. My family was an Easter, Christmas, and weddings and funeral type of church family, and God was not discussed in my home, and I did nothing with it. I believed that there was some sort of God, but I didn't access the God through prayer or meditation or anything. And I only learned that in AA. I'm so grateful for that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ed. Alice, come on in. Come on in, Alice.
Hi, family. My name is Alice, and I'm an alcoholic. And I really, really appreciate your share. How clean and how honest, how simple, how uncomplicated the truth is. Thank you. Here's my question. I heard you talk about the evolution from asking for things to asking to be useful. And it certainly is an evolution, right? Your class of 88, I got here about the same time. And can you share with people, like, what helped you make the pivot? That if our topic is like, we ask, right? We ask for what? And you said these really beautiful things, right? Does my prayer life align with being of maximum service, right? That's a big jump from I'm praying to God for money, power, prestige. And so if you could share a little bit about how you made the pivot in what you asked for. Thank you so much for your beautiful share.
Well, thanks, Alice. Yeah, that's a great question. It was gradual, and it was, I think a lot of it was because I've always loved Bill W.'s writings. And it was a lot of, reading the language of the heart and the As Bill Sees It and the letters and his ideas about this design, this design that there's Dr. Bob, when Dr. Bob said there's physical laws, right? Then he said there's spiritual laws, and when we act in accordance, his last talk, right? Love and service. Steps are boiled down to love and service. But when we live within these certain spiritual principles, it's in giving that we receive, what have you. Good things happen, and when I don't, it's not as good. I mean, and I've had so many periods. I know a lot of members. I've talked with so many members over the years that have had these dry periods, right, where it feels like a wasteland. And the first thing I would usually go to is what am I doing wrong, And it's not necessarily so, but I think it was just I felt God help me and God give me were inadequate. They felt shallow to me after a while, and God used me just felt right in my heart. I hope that answers that. I hope that helps a bit.
Thank you so much, Ed. Dan, come on in.
Thank you so much. I know you're making an exception with my camera, and I really appreciate that. I'll lower my hand. Yeah. Hey, Ed. It's good to see you, brother. We've become friends, so I feel I can be honest with you. And I think someone answered the question, but I was too busy trying to, yeah. Someone was asking me to turn on my video, and I didn't want to. Thank you. Yeah, there are times when my faith has been really, really present, and now I've just lost it completely. And I'm just wondering if you've gone through periods of dryness like that.
Yeah, I have indeed, for sure. And I remember when my faith was challenged, and it's funny how the best answers are often the simplest, right? Someone just said to me, "Pray for faith." Like, I don't have faith. Well, then pray for faith. So and it's funny because that was one of my earliest prayers too when I started into sobriety. God, please, would you reveal yourself to me, and grant me an ever increasing faith in you. And I've when that's happened, I've found these so-called coincidences start happening more and more. I start seeing things. I start seeing the wonder and the awe and the connectedness of this thing they're always there, but I just am not seeing. I've got the blinders on, right? They're always there, but I'm not seeing what's right in front of me. So.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ed. Hey, Ali, come on in, brother.
Thank you, John. Thanks, brother. Ed, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you on so many different levels and accepting to come at this time. So that was a beautiful talk. Obviously, when somebody has a practice, you feel the energy, right? And your talk was so much deeper for me because I have knowledge of the walk, as many of us do here. I was wondering if it's okay, would you give some context to us, to people that may not know? My question is this: in that what you're going through, what's happening soon, and the interplay with your relationship with God and the word freedom that you used earlier. If you would, please, brother. Thank you so much. I love you, man.
Thank you for asking this question. And this is thanks, Ali. Yeah, some know and some don't. I'm in a situation which is unique, or not unique, but fairly unique. Being a Canadian, I'm in this position. I've lived with chronic pain for 40 years. It'll be 40 years this October, and it's been continuous, like nonstop. And I have not found a solution to it. And this is, and I've been sober, I guess, almost 36 years now. So I've been sober through most of it. And you know, I'm grateful that the obsession for alcohol was removed, even through chronic pain and through all sorts of other difficulties. So the context of my faith in step 11 and step 3, you know, it's huge. I had a spiritual experience which I'm so grateful for when I was about 6 months sober. Some here know about it, some don't, but it was absolutely incredible. I feel like I've had the awakening as well. Both incredible blessings and gifts I don't take for granted. I was at a monastery at a men's 12-step retreat in Oka, Quebec, Canada. And it was my first retreat. And, you know, we did the 12 steps, and then we went to Mass on the Sunday morning, and the Mass was in French and Latin, and I knew neither. But I'm open, you know, and I'm not Catholic, but I'm open. And I went, and during the Mass, I had a huge spiritual experience that was just so vivid, so powerful, so full of love and peace. Originally, at the very beginning, it was ecstasy as well. And you know, when it was done, you know, my tears dried, and this big organ symphony comes on, and this presence just said, "We've got some work to do, and I'll see when we're done." You know, and there's been all sorts of things that have happened since then. You know, there's all sorts of things that have been difficult. We know that life, things can happen in the human condition, right? And so there's been, you know, there was a demotion at one point, and the loss of a marriage, and a couple of bankruptcies, and loss of a pregnancy, and many things. And of course, the continuous chronic pain. And through it all, I've known that the infinite love and the infinite power. I'm so grateful for Tradition 2, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience, all loving. And I know this is a long answer, but it's I guess it helps answer the question. But you know, I've been to several, thank goodness, meditation retreats, like 10-day Vipassana silent retreats through the chronic pain, and they've been most helpful. And this is a situation where, after exhausting everything I can think of, this is where I've decided to go. I decided about 13, 14 months ago, and I've kept it open. I'm open to change or being wrong, and every time I look at it, I come back to the same conclusion that this is just where it is. So it's surreal, and we're talking about, you know, big stuff here, but I'm just so grateful for this way of life, for AA, for my home group Designed for Living, for my many home groups through my recovery in person and online, and all the people all over the world I've been blessed to meet and talk with in so many different mediums. You know, that all is well and all will be well. You know, God is infinite, and it's all really is well. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Ed. Thanks for the question, Ellie. Hey, Zelda, come on in. Good to see you.
Hi everybody. Hi. Awesome talk. Sorry I was late. My question is, because I'm walking with God, during a challenging time in my life, and when you're walking with God, and your faith is challenged, and you don't know the reason why, and everything that you believed in is taken away. Your faith is still there. You believed in, but you know, spiritually, you're walking with him. Your faith is there, but you're in a lot of pain, you know. And I'm not talking about physical pain, but emotional pain, you know, emotional pain. And when it's tested in sobriety, Um, what do you do when that happens in your sobriety?
Thanks, Zelda, and I I'm sorry you're going through that, and I understand as well. Um, been through the same sort of thing a few times myself, so I get it. A lot of us get it, don't we? You know, there's that in Bill's story. He talks about, remember he had that vivid spiritual experience right off the top, right? A few days sober, and he says in his story that, a year and a half, his first year and a half of sobriety, because he had the experience in late 34, and he started writing the book in 37, and it was published in 39. So there's the context. He says, when that sometimes my resentment and self-pity nearly drove me back to drink. So he had those dark nights of the soul, and where faith was challenged, even though he had that vivid spiritual experience still. And he says, when all other measures failed, work with another alcoholic saved the day. And just getting out of myself has been the best way to get freedom. And a lot of you know this. One of my favorite speakers, he talks about the pebble in the shoe, and a lot of you probably heard the story, but I'll say it again anyways. That I was the same. I spent a lot of years trying to figure out what the combination is. What's the right combination, the right number of meetings, the right kind of meetings, the right sponsor, the right speed of doing the steps, what have you, right? If I get the right combination, everything's going to be just right. And it's like having a pebble in my shoe, and it drives me crazy. So I take my shoe off, empty the pebble out, put the shoe back on. Wouldn't you know it, the pebble's back again 2 paces later. I empty it out, same thing. It keeps on and on with this stupid pebble in my shoe. And the only relief that I've ever found, and it's not just relief, it's freedom, is to focus on someone else's pebble in their shoe. It doesn't mean mine's gone away. It's just mean my focus is off it. There's always someone with challenges. There's always someone. And there have been people I'm sure are the model of serenity. And there's one guy I remember having lunch with, and I thought to myself, you're so serene. And I, right after I thought that, he said, Ed, I'm in the middle of a panic attack right now. And I wanted to say, like, would you please tell your face? Like, because he didn't look that way. And so how many times do we have it wrong? We think something is this way, but it's not, everyone looks better than I feel because I'm comparing apples to oranges. So,
Thank you, Ed. Hey, Ferdinand. Welcome. Come on in, brother.
Hi, family. My name is Ferdinand, Powerless Sober Alcohol. I want to thank the team for this weekly 11-step workshop. It's really powerful, and I'm glad whenever I get to connect. And thanks for your share, man. That was awesome. A lot of good reminders that I need in terms of asking for some things that my higher power to help me to continue to make positive progress. You talked about meditation in your share. I've had to change my meditation routine. I used to meditate a lot when I smoked outside of my home. I've quit smoking, and I'm struggling developing a different meditation routine. What's your meditation routine? What's the meditation routine that works the best for you? And again, thanks for your share.
Thanks for your question, Ferdinand. Yeah. What works best when I work it is what's on pages 85 to 88, in addition to the Vipassana silent meditation, body and breath scans, where I just go from head to toe and observe body sensations, and I'm not judging them or trying to force sensations, just observing head to toe, back and forth. And if I'm too distracted, which I often am, I go right down to breath and just focus on natural breath. So there's just, what does it feel like as it goes in and out of my nostrils? Not forced breath, not, nothing extreme. And and I've done these 10-day courses that have really helped with that. Before that, I tried a mantra meditation for a lot of years, with a word, and I didn't find that adequate for me.
Thanks a lot, Ed. Come on in, Russell. Welcome, brother.
Evening, everybody. I'm Russell. I'm a grateful alcoholic. Ed, that was beautiful. I'm geographically proximate to you, so maybe we'll hopefully connect. I'm just in Guelph, actually. Well, Ferdinand, you stole my question, but yeah, maybe if you don't mind, Ed, I'll reach out to you directly. I'm curious about the 12-step retreat you went to in Oka and maybe some of the other stuff you've done. I just wanted to share so far in my experience, your prayer for others, please grant so-and-so knowledge of your will for them and the power to carry that out. Like, thank you. That is going to be a transformative thing for me in my own prayer. I feel like I've come a long way to getting there with myself, like your other sort of laying out of the 3 kinds of prayer for oneself and one's progress and one's sobriety, and just to be a more useful member of the fellowship and of society in general, but to be less specific and thinking that how could I possibly know what someone else actually needs, which is such hubris, right? It comes from a place of good intention sometimes, but who am I to know? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Russell. Hey, Terry, come on in. Welcome.
Hi there. My name is Terry, and I am 9 months and 3 days sober, and stopped and clean and nicotine free, and not pain free. My pain has gone down a lot, and I've been learning to lean into it and try to listen to what it has to say to me. And for a long time, I had resentment towards my pain and my loss of functioning. I really can't walk that much. I can't stand in place, but I can lift 3 plates. How, I've found some use, in this, by praying and meditating and into the pain. I'm carrying, how do you deal with resentment towards pain, acceptance towards pain? How do you work with forgiveness towards the body and involve your higher power into this? Because it's only recently that I've even wanted to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
It's a good question. Thank you for asking, Terry. And I understand what you're going through. More work needs to be done for me, that's for sure, with the acceptance of the pain. What I've tried to do is, again, focusing on others, and focusing on meditation and service to get my mind off the pain. The experts in that area are the people in Chronic Pain Anonymous, which I've been going to for the last year. It's a 12-step fellowship, and look them up. Chronic Pain Anonymous. Incredible people, incredible literature, incredible meetings, and those are the experts in that. And I'm learning from all the members there all the time. I have so much to learn.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Ed. Mitchell, welcome. Come on in.
Hi, I'm Mitchell, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm very grateful to be here, first of all, and I took lots of great notes. That was very powerful and strong. And you seem to have a lot of knowledge, Ed. So the question I have for you is, when it comes to temptation, and I'm not talking alcohol, I'm talking successes of sobriety and everything just being great. There's attraction towards that. So like ex-girlfriends and people of the past that you probably wouldn't want to be around are all coming in, and I feel just flattered by it. But my question is do you feel like it's, in your opinion, that it's God's testing me? Because something's testing me, I feel like, to see if I'm ready to deal with all this stuff, or if I should, like, is it a test from God to have all these temptations and everything around me in my sobriety, if that makes sense at all?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Mitchell. I want to stress too to everyone, this is only the way I see these things. These are not necessarily the correct answers, right? This is just the way I see it where I am, and I could be completely out in left field on this stuff. So my experience with this, my feeling is that God is all loving and would never do anything that would be a test, or I would feel that would be almost on the lines of cruel, or not so loving, at least anyways. I like the big book's version of what success isn't. Any life run on self-will can hardly be a success, because in our culture and in this world, success is often possessions, or prominence, or power, or popularity, or money, or whatever, right? Possessions, yeah. And the big book is just crystal clear on what it isn't. So if I'm running my life on self-will, that's not success, no matter what other things are going on or not going on. If I at least try to run my life on God's will, just by asking for it, and listening to my conscience, and adhering to that, or heeding that. That's where my problem is. Sometimes I don't listen to my conscience. It says, Ed, you don't want to do this, and I said, well, I really do, and then I get myself in trouble again, right? I hope that answers the question or helps.
Thanks so much, Ed. Hey, Greer, we have a couple minutes left. If it's a quick question, we should have time, so come on in.
Hi, I'm Greer. Happy to be here. Thank you, Ed, for your share. I'm here as a guest, and I am curious. I've never read, I think it's called the Blue Book. I come from 2 other fellowships. I don't have an alcohol problem, but I feel like I hear a lot of good recovery wisdom. Do you think I should read the Blue Book?
Oh, good to see you, Greer. Thanks for the question. I love the book. I think it's just brilliant. I think it's the AA Big Book is just so chock full of practical wisdom, stuff that just works. The directions for the steps are in there, and it's timeless. It's written in the 30s, and sure, some of the language is old, but I found it's my favorite book.
Thanks, Ed. My favorite Calvin put his hand up. I'm going to have to let him come in too. Come on in, Calvin.
Hello, everybody. My name's Calvin. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for a good message, Ed. And what I want to ask you about is that quiet retreat. What did you get out of that?
Oh, yeah. Well, boy, each one was a little bit different. I think, yeah, first one was 2018. I'll tell you, the first one I walked in with, for those that don't know, these Vipassana centers are all over North America, and they gel quite nicely with our 11th step. You basically hand your phone in, and there's no reading or writing or talking or body contact or eye contact for 10 straight days. And you meditate about 10 or 11 hours a day, and you eat and you sleep. And that's the whole 10 days. I walked into my first one with a whole bunch of resentments, and I walked out with a whole bunch of amends that need to be made. And I realized that it's a busy place up here. I also walked out with this feeling like I could do anything. It was the most challenging and most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. it laid the groundwork for all sorts of spiritual development and things that had to be torn out of my life, and things that had to be rebuilt. And I wouldn't have had the courage if I didn't do that. And I've known a lot of members that have done these, and this is not AA, but it certainly, it certainly fits with our steps.
Beautiful way to end us off. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Calvin. I'm going to pass it back to my friend Ellie.
Thank you so much, John. Thanks, everybody. Before I go back to the format, I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, brother. I mean, Ed wrote what he wrote on Facebook, what he's going through, and the fact that he's transitioning at the end of the month to the spiritual realm. And I got on the phone with him, and I was just we had a beautiful conversation. And I said to him, Ed, I've been wanting to ask you to speak at our meeting. It's going to be a big ask, man. You got limited time, but it'll be such a shame if we don't get a chance to hear you and feel your spirit. So, and I want everyone to know his generosity and humility. When I asked him, his answer to me was just, are you kidding me? I would love to. Thank you for being a light carrier, brother. I'll see you on the other side. And I love you very much. Thank you so much.